Okay, so let's take a look at some of the Apache Cassandra CRUD commands. So we are going to create a database, then insert data into it, update it, delete it, and do some of the other operations through SQL shell, right? So SQL shell, we will open it from terminal. So let's say I'm on Ubuntu and I open the terminal, right? So here I'm going to type in SQL sh. Right, now that it opens that, and as you can see, I also connected to a cluster on this particular domain. Right, now next thing I'm going to do is I need to create a key space. So key space in Apache Cassandra is basically a database. Okay, so let's start with key space, right? So we will type in create key space, and then here we will add demo db as the key space with replication, where we have to input some of the details, like say class, right? And here within that we will have to use class equals to, right? So sorry, it has to be quote, right? Here we'll have to use simple strategy, right? So simple strategy is the class, right? And then we will be also be adding replication underscore factor, right? And end of quote, and then we use 3 for that factor. Then we will use curly bracket and then semicolon and hit enter. Okay, so replication factor 3 for key space DemoDB is higher than number of nodes, right? So currently we only have node 1, right? So if there are multiple, we can define within that replication factor, right? So now let's see if it created our key space. So we will use describe key space, right? So let's try and see if we can get output. And here you see we have our DemoDB created. Now that we used create and key space command for creating our database, next thing we also used describe. What I will do after this is clear this. Now one more thing to clear here is you can alter your key space by typing alter key space then DemoDB, right? And also you can drop or delete, right? So drop key space DemoDB, right? Two of these options works as well, right? Now that we have our key space ready, we can use DemoDB and then semicolon, hit enter. We are into that particular key space now here I can create table, right? So create, let's say table, sorry, create table, and here I'm going to use lowercase, and within that I'm going to use id integer, name text, right, and salary integer, then age integer, then close this and then use semicolon, hit enter. So no primary key mentioned, right? So I'll have to edit this query id integer and then primary key. So like MySQL or Postgres, you won't be able to move ahead without primary key, right? So here you will have to mention before you run the query, right? So we also created a table. Now what we can do is we will select all from sample, and here we have id, age, name and salary. Now notice that your id field has this red color showing its primary key, right? Now comes the CRUD operations, like what type of data you want to input into this. So let's see if I can clear it. Okay, I can. So now I'm going to use insert into, then sample, where I'm going to mention ID, name, salary, age, right, and values. Now within values, I will be giving it some of the stuff like, let's see, my name and then age, right, and let's say I have 3000 salary, 28 age. Yeah, right. Now finally I will have to close this query, right? If everything is correct, it should accept it, right? So it accepted. Let me add one more again, but this time I will have to change my second entry, right? And here you can use, right, and there we have. Let's go there, and then let's see, we have age part 2. So everything we have done so far looks good, and let's hit enter, and we have one more entry. Now let's add one more, making few changes. Let's see, 19, and I'm just going to make only 2 changes here, right, and hit enter. Right now I explained you this insert query. Now you can view this table. Now sample, select from sample and semicolon, hit enter. Now we have 3 entries, as you can see, and you get the output within terminal as well. Now let me clear this and we can move on to another query, which is going to be update, right? So if I again show you the table from sample, and let's say if I want to change the sukesh age to, let's say, 24. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use update sample, right, and going to set age equals to 29 and where ID is equal to 3, right? So sukesh age will be modified into, let's say, 19 to 29, right? So it looks good. Now let's hit enter, and there we have. Now let's run the select query. So I'm not doing the uppercase from, that's because of habit, so forgive my OCD there, and hit enter, and there you have your another entry being changed based on update query. So you have noticed that pretty much SQL like commands are being used within Apache Cassandra as well. So let me clear this. Now let's try and delete one of the row. So delete, let's say, from sample. So from sample, right, and here where ID is equal to 3. So third row I will be deleting, and that entry will be removed. So if I select all from sample, 2 entries will exist, right? So we have seen so far is creating a key space, then we managed to describe the key spaces available. Then comes our option for let's say creating the table. Then we also inserted data, updated it, removed it, right? Finally, one more thing is we can also drop table sample, right? If I run this table will be removed. If I use key space and then demo db and hit enter, the key space will be removed, right? So pretty much we have seen how to create database, how to add data into it, how to get rid of that table, how to get rid of that key space as well. So this is pretty much the simple CRUD operations on Apache Cassandra.